What's up? Coach Ben is here from WODprep, and I am ready to talk about the 22.1 CrossFit Open workout. It has been a long time coming. I'm super excited that we are all back in the open, ready to crush it. This video is all about helping you get your best score possible on CrossFit Open Workout 22.1. Please, for the love of all things that are good, go to games.crossfit.com to check out the new movement standards. We have new measurement standards for the wall walks. We have new box jump standards. There's all kinds of juicy goodies in there. So please, you can check it out in the comments below or in the description. Just go read the standards, because I'm not going to go over all of them in this video, but what I am going to go over is the perfect strategy to help you get your best score possible, regardless of whether you're in the RX, scaled, or foundations division. They're kind of all the same here, because this is the workout. As you can see, it is a 15-minute AMRAP for the RX division. We obviously have wall walks, which are showing up again, and scale division, we have a modification of that. Same thing with the foundations division. This video will focus primarily on helping you execute those wall walks as efficiently as possible, helping make sure that you do the dumbbell snatches correctly and don't get any no reps. And then also, I'm going to teach you a special technique that's going to help you get up and over the box even easier than it ever has been before. If you would like the free strategy guide to go along this video, so that means the written blog post, a special mental prep video that I only send out to my email list. If you want all the other free goodies that WODprep creates during the Open, go to wodprep.com/open and make sure that you are on the WODprep email list. You can click the link in the description or in the top comment. That is where you go if you want to maximize your Open score and you haven't joined our coaching group, but you should go join that before the time runs out. So go get that now, and let's get into the tips. Let's talk about the overall strategy to help you get your best score on 22.1. There's a couple things that I want to mention. Number one, everyone will be tempted to move too quickly. You have to resist the temptation to go fast in the beginning. I want you to try to maintain a constant speed from round one all the way through the end of this workout, with a couple caveats. For most of us, the wall walks are going to be the limiting factor. So my challenge to you is, what pace do you need to move on the dumbbell snatches and the box jump overs to make sure that you don't need to rest on the wall walks? I know that seems a little weird, but we need to use the other movements to control the pace of the wall walks. If you're flying through the snatches and flying through the box jump overs, and then you get to the wall walks and you're absolutely smoked and have to spend like 15 to 30 seconds in between each rep, then you've shot yourself in the foot. We don't want to do that. So again, try to pick a medium pace that you can hold the entire workout. And then if you're feeling good midway or 3/4 of the way through, yes, you can ramp up the pace a little bit. But as we saw, even with the professionals performing live, a lot of people, they start too fast and then they absolutely gas out and they can't jump over the box. They can't do the wall walks as smoothly as they want. So come out with a medium pace. As a general rule, every single one of you watching this video, if you get done round one and look at the clock and you're under 90 seconds, so 1 minute and 30, you have gone way too fast, and you need to put the brakes on. I promise you. Move slower. For me, I might aim for around 2 minutes per round, roughly, and I'm going to see if I can hold that for the entire 15 minutes. And yeah, at the end, if I'm feeling good with, let's say, 2 or 3 minutes left, I might ramp it up. But the kiss of death, the way that you're going to get a bad score in this workout that severely underperforms what you could do in this workout, is if you come out really fast and then crash and burn. And that crash and burn is either going to happen on the wall walks or the box jump over. So with that being said, now let's move into the specific strategy for each different movement. Let's talk about the wall walks. This section is hopefully going to make wall walks way easier than they ever have been for you, because I have a couple special tips that I've reserved only for this video. So the wall walks should be the limiting factor in this workout. Most likely, this is where you will start to experience a little bit of failure, especially in your shoulders and your core. So we're going to go through a few key coaching points that will make wall walks easier. Number one is we have a new standard. There's no longer any shoulder or body measurement. There is a standard distance from the wall for each line, and you have to make sure that you have that correct. I'm not going to talk about it right now, but make sure that your standards are the right way, and also make sure that the tape that you're using stays on the ground. I actually remember one year practicing wall walks and the tape just kept falling off. Imagine the tape falling off in the middle of the workout. You're going to have to restart. Don't do that. Make sure your tape is sticky. Tip number two is, I suggest having a chalk target for your hands, or have basically like chalk your hand just a little bit with gym owner permission, and then put your hands where just the tippy tips of your fingers are touching the line, because that's what the standard is for the RX division. Obviously for scale, we need to have our hands in front of the line. But what we don't want is we don't want to be over walking our hands forward and backwards. We want to have a nice efficient spot to put our hands. I like, just because we're in the heat of battle, I like having a target to put both of my hands. So I'm just going to chalk my hands up a little bit before the workout, lay down, and have a spot for me to place my hands at the end of every rep to make sure that my fingers are touching that line. Next, you might have seen my video on Instagram about this. I highly suggest practicing the downward dog technique. So to start the wall walk, rather than doing some sort of awkward plank push-up thing, start by doing a downward dog, then kick both feet up onto the wall, and then and only then are you allowed to start moving your hands towards the wall. I see a lot of times where athletes will start to move their hands right before their feet come off the ground, and that's technically a no rep. So don't get no repped here. Be really smart. And make sure you start with the downward dog. That's going to prevent your core from burning out. That's going to help you start to move up the wall nice and smoothly, and it's not going to exhaust you. And then the next step after that is downward dog. And then I want you to think about doing a touch and go hand placement. So as we're approaching the wall, rather than having both hands get to the line, taking a breath, and then coming back down, I want you to get in the habit of taking your hand, touching the line, and then coming back down. So what that means is I get one hand on the line, and then my second hand should just tap and then back down the wall. It's kind of like what I do when I do like box step-ups and stuff like that, is I just like to do a touch and go with my trailing foot. Your trailing hand should just touch the line, and then you're on your way back down the wall. We want to spend as little time as possible inverted and upside down, because that's going to smoke our shoulders and our core. After the touch and go, so after I touch that second hand and now I'm back down the wall, I want to get my hands to that chalk target as quickly as possible and then splat. And it's not going to feel comfortable. I'd actually recommend, like for myself, I might stuff the toes of my shoes to give myself a little bit of extra padding. Maybe I'll put like a little sock there or stuff some toilet paper or something, because I'm suggesting that you just allow yourself to splat down on the ground. If you control your feet down, you're wasting a lot of energy. Get your hands to the line, and then as soon as they're on the line, you drop. And that drop might be kind of aggressive. So if you wanted to, this kind of skirts the rules a little bit, so it's totally up to you. I personally won't be doing this, but you could take a big gymnastics mat or some sort of big mat and do your wall walks on that. And what that's going to do is that's going to prevent that splat from stubbing your toes or like injuring yourself or anything like that. I know for me, the first few times I did wall walks when I was falling back down to the ground, man, my toes were killing me for weeks. And that's just because you're kind of just jamming your toes into the ground when you splat back down. So maybe add some padding into your shoes, or you can try to execute your wall walks on some sort of consistent gymnastics squishy pad, and that's going to make that come down potentially a little bit easier. But again, it's not something that is readily available for everyone, so use it at your own risk. And my last tip for wall walks is to make sure that you have a consistent breathing pattern. I know it's difficult to breathe during the wall walks, and I understand that, so I'm not even going to suggest you trying to figure that out. You might be able to breathe, you might not be able to breathe, but one thing we can do is breathe between each rep. What I'm suggesting is at the end of every rep, as you're on the ground, that's your resting position, I want you to take 2 strong breaths. So 2 deep breaths and then back into your wall walk. There's going to be times later in the workout where you're going to want to take 10 breaths. Try to force yourself to take 2 breaths in the beginning, in between each rep. And then at the end, same thing. See if you can hold on to that 2-breath break in between each rep. That's going to help keep you consistent, because what we don't want is for you to do touch and go wall walks in the beginning and then 30-second breaks in between each rep at the end. Then you've paced yourself wildly incorrect. So that 2-breath break is going to be a suggestion. And for some of you, if wall walks are more difficult, that might need to be 3 breaths or 4 or 5. But find a specific amount of breaths that's going to help you maintain a steady, strong pace on the wall walks. Let's talk about the dumbbell snatch. The main point of performance here is to make sure that both heads of the dumbbell touch in between each rep. I know there's kind of been a weird standard sometimes where you can just touch one head of the dumbbell down to the ground, but that is a no rep. Both heads of the dumbbell should touch the ground. The main performance tip that I want to give you for the dumbbell snatch is to make sure you're not switching on the ground. If you're switching on the ground, you're spending a lot more time in that bent over hinged position than you need to. That's going to really come into play when you're also trying to do box jumps and you're kind of in this bent squatty position on the box jumps. You're going to be bent over far too long and you're going to fatigue. So for the dumbbell snatch, make sure that you're touch and go off the floor. That means you need to switch at some point off the floor. So whether you're switching overhead or whether you're switching at the shoulders, I don't really care where you switch as long as it's not on the ground. Because if it's on the ground, that means you have to spend way too much time bent over. You're not going to be breathing as properly. And last but certainly not least, don't drop the dumbbell from overhead and break your toe. Finally, let's talk about the box jump overs. Huge new standard here, no rebounding. Personally, I am a huge fan of this because the amount of injuries that happen during rebounding box jumps is far too many. I know several people personally who've had to get ruptured Achilles fixed. Just don't do it. So I love the fact that there is a new standard that says you must step down and you can't rebound from the bottom. The bottom line for these box jumps is you need to find a pace and a technique that's consistent for you and you only. For some, including myself, I really like the idea of just going laterally over the box. So what that means is like I'm stepping down with my right and then I'm stepping down with my left. I get to alternate which foot I step down with. I stay square in one direction. There's very minimal like spinning involved. I'm not gonna get as dizzy as maybe some other people who are twisting and turning on the box. I like the lateral approach, but I realize that once we get tired, that might not be as effective. So if the lateral jump over approach doesn't work, then we could do this thing where we face the box and you turn on top of the box and step down. The bottom line with box jump overs is that when you're on the ground, you shouldn't need to be doing any more turning. So what we don't want is for you to jump onto the box, step down, and then have to move yourself on the ground to get ready for the next rep. Because what's going to happen is you'll wind up walking all over the gym. So you should either turn on the jump and on the box so that as soon as your second foot hits the ground from the step down, you're ready to jump back up. Whether that happens laterally or whether that happens with a full, turn and twist on top of the box, either one is fine. What we don't want is for you to stay square to the box, jump up, step down, and then have to turn around on the ground. That's just going to waste far too much time. Another thing to mention from an efficiency perspective is don't stand up. We don't need to stand up on top of the box, so unless you absolutely have to maintain coordination and balance, try to stay low. If you stay low, then you're going to save yourself for the dumbbell snatches, because the dumbbell snatches we're hinging and standing up all the time. So imagine having to do that 12 times and then having to do it 15 additional times on the box jump overs. That's dumb. Don't do that. Stay low, keep your hips low, and again, throughout all of these movements, they're kind of fast-paced. Just focus on breathing. So focus on breathing. Get your footwork dialed in, and the box jump overs ideally should be like, it's almost like a metronome. Like you should just have, it's like a dance move. Like you should have 1, 2, over, 1, 2, over. Like just the same exact thing every single time. Try to keep them consistent across the board. If you need to, like some boxes are lighter than others, and I know jumping onto a box and kind of twisting and turning means that the box could fall over. Perhaps you could take some plates or something like that and kind of stabilize the box on its ends. But just try not to knock over the box. There's probably going to still be some people who get injured because they land on the edge and it flips over and it'll make a funny video for Make Watts Great Again. So at least you'll be famous. But if you can, just find a nice steady pace. I've already demonstrated several of the versions that I like. And what we don't want is to stand up on top of the box, and we don't want to have to shuffle and rearrange our feet and our body when we're back on the ground. That's just inefficient. You're wasting a lot of time. So I hope that you like this video. Obviously, we talked a lot about the RX division, but the same exact rules apply for the other divisions because this workout is all about consistency and movement. Ideally, you never want to rest in this workout. So whatever pace allows you to stay moving the entire time. If you keep finding yourself taking long breaks between sets or between reps on the wall walks, that means your pace is a little bit too hot and you need to tone it back just a little bit. All right, everybody, I hope that you like this video. In the comments below, please tell me one thing that you took away from this video that you're gonna apply to your 22.1 workout. If you've already tried 22.1 and you have some suggestions, please throw them in the comments. I love it when people see these videos, they try it for themselves, and they find little ways that they can modify it. The comment section is a wonderful place, and I will be down there cheering you all on. So again, leave a comment below. Let me know how it went, or let me know what you're going to take from this video to apply to your 22.1 submission. If you would like the complete WOD prep strategy for this workout, that means mental prep tips. So I have a special video that's only for my email list that talks about the mental prep that I'm going to do for this workout. If you want the written strategy and all the other bonuses that come out over the course of the weekend, please go to this link, wodprep.com/open. That'll be in the top comments or the description below, and you can get all of my strategy guides for free over the course of this Open. This is where most people find WOD Prep. So go sign up for the email list, and you'll get lots of special goodies to go along with this video.
Just give me a couple seconds.